welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and it's Free Pattern Friday. I just love Free Pattern Fridays. So I had a viewer ask for a bow tie, just a bow tie block, and I started drawing out a very simple one, and I started giving her measurements and all this stuff, and I thought, ooh, let's do a fancy bow tie block. So this is what we're going to be sewing today. Yes, there's a lot of pieces. Don't be intimidated. It's really quite simple. But first, we want to mention Michene from Americana Quilting. And we got the red, white, and blue thing going on here in this block. It's perfect, right? So she is not expecting this shout out. So, and you know the drill. If you go over there, check her out, and you like what you see, share with your friends, and tell her that Brenda from Conquering Mount Scrapmore sent you. Now, her YouTube channel is going to be in the show notes below, as well as the Facebook group that we're part of. It's growing rapidly. We're sharing pictures, asking questions, getting feedback. We've got several chats going. We're swapping fabric, and we are sewing in a virtual sewing room that is open 24/7 if you're into, being in Facebook. If you're not part of the Facebook community, we will also show you the Zoom links for our monthly sew days from January to December 2024. So we're making a commitment to those dates for you, because those Zoom sew dates are so much fun. We're having it's a very international group. Like, we've had ladies from Europe and from Asia and from South America. It's been in Australia. It has been so much fun, as well as the crew from North America. Now, I also do free speaking engagements for groups or guilds. I will only do them over Zoom, as I no longer have a trunk show, because I've either given them away to friends and family or charities. So I don't have the quilts anymore. So this is something, if your group is looking for someone to speak and they're, kind of strapped for funds, tell them about me. We'll be happy to give them a Zoom presentation, right? Because I do have a PowerPoint. So let's get to this sewing. This is going to be so much fun today. Okay, we're at the sewing machine, and this is how it's laid out. We're got a lot of flip and stitch corners to do here, so let's do those first. So what we want to do, you take them in pairs, right? So this side is going to go this way, right? So we want to sew a line. Just a minute here. Let me get my foot all ready. Now I can sew a line on a 2-inch and be okay with it. But you may want to, okay, here we go. And we're going to do that one next, right after this. And you may want to do, okay, wait a minute. I had to do these. Now these are mirrored, right? So that's why they're a little bit confusing. Now you also want to make sure before you cut anything off these that these match. Now we're going to be doing lots of them, so, and there we go. Yeah. There. So get the other side. And you just want to, if you wanted to draw this line, you're just barely touching that line from this side, right? And that's going to allow you room to turn the cloth. Now, don't be cutting anything until you have this perfectly laid out, right? So, now, this one works, so I'm going to trim that one back. And that's, there. Okay. Yeah, this is one of these blocks where it's fiddly, but if you have lots of little stuff that you don't know what to do with, now these two next ones are mirrored as well. Right? So one, okay. I know, you're like, oh my gosh. Couldn't you figure something a little less stressful to do? There we go. And looks more like a hair ribbon. This is kind of like a hair ribbon thing that a little girl would wear or something like that, right? So that's why I kind of did this. Okay. There we go. Now that works. I'm just going to trim that. There we go. And if you're doing a whole bunch of these blocks, right, you would do one unit and then you would do the other unit. So both of these now are mirrored images, right? We're going to take the next mirror and you just, like I say, you just work down your blocks. And you get as much of the little stuff sewn as possible. Okay, let's see if these all work. Okay. Yes, and yes. Well, the hard part's turning out not to be so hard. I love blocks like this because it helps with my little, you know, that whole fiddly, you know, you like working with smaller scale things. And I just think this would be adorable. There's lots of points that match, but that's okay, you know. That's okay. Now, if I sew these on a mirror image, they should work. There we go. It looks funny when you're sewing it like this, though. But just take your time, right? That's the thing. Everybody just tries to rush sometimes through blocks like this, and it's like, no, just take your time. You spend less time with the seam ripper, right? And I mean, nobody needs more time with a seam ripper in their hand. Okay, here we go. We're just trimming it across, and okay. So that's where that's going to go. Okay, now let's see if mirroring this worked. Because we just mirrored the other side. Yes, it did. Okay. Here, let's run one through. I'm not going to save these or make any little pinwheels out of them. So I'm just going to run it through as scrap, a plug, a fabric plug. Yes, this works. Okay, so I give this a trim now. Here. Now we've got to get two going the other way. So this has to go, you have to make kind of a parallelogram out of this. So there we go. And this then goes like this. Yeah. So this has been kind of a, okay. There. Well, we'll see if those work. They should. They stayed pretty close. Yes, it does. There. Now finger pressing for me is just ideal because I can do that pretty much on the go. And, you know, like I do go through the blocks after. Now, these blocks, you got two that point down on the edge and two that point up, right? And the other, same with the other side, right? So essentially the blue part of this now is done. I can just move that all out of the way. Now let's get to the red. Now I'm going to leave this and this here. Oops. Okay. One goes one way, the other one goes the other way. There. There we go. Okay. We're just going to cut for a second. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, now we're going to take this piece and we're going to make a parallelogram. And where's my foot pedal? Spent a good deal of time looking for it. Okay. Now, okay, that works perfect. So we're making a mirror parallelogram. Okay, now that one hopefully worked out well. And I have been shopping for there. Okay, so these two have to mirror each other, these two right here. So yeah, I've been doing lots of fun shopping. It's been good. There. I'm going to thrift stores. I find some beautiful stuff at thrift stores. Okay, let's get that other one there, see if it worked. It should work. Should work great. There we go. That works. There. There we go. Okay, so these parallelograms also, you know, these ones also mirror each other. Excuse me. So there we go. We want to go. And sometimes I find it's easier to sew something, you know, if you set it up as mirrored images, which I know for some people just confuses them, but that's me. If you find there's a simpler way for you to do something, that's the way you should do it, right? So, but for me, that's what makes it easier for me, is that it's mirrored. Okay. Oh, yep, these work nice. So far, no stitch ripping. I'm very much enjoying this block. Okay. The two centers should make a V. All right, let's get this one. When I was cutting this fabric, there was no way. Let's see, is that? There was no way I could make, you know, like a bigger cut. So yeah, some of the cutting here is a little bit. Okay, we'll make a mirror. Okay. Yeah, so some of the cutting here might look a little weird. Now this piece is going here, and it also has to mirror. And yeah, we got good coverage. Yes, we do. There. Okay, now last piece. I have the last two. I have to make a parallelogram. Okay, that means I gotta sew it this way. and a mirrored parallelogram. Okay, so let's see if that one worked. Okay. That's good. Okay, I got both of them. Well, this one, both sides of this look good. So I'm just gonna cut it and put it in place. Now, if you were doing a quilt for a quilt show or something like that, you would, take your time, iron, all this stuff in between. Make sure you've got good coverage. You would take all that, right? But if you're just, like for me, I just like doing little itty bitty things sometimes. It's good for me to do little itty bitty things. Okay, there. And the other side. Now, so, okay. So now this is looking like it's supposed to. Right now, what I do is I put these two pieces together first, and then I put them back. Because I have to make them the same width, right, as the square in the center. Now, these are 2-inch pieces. So, I will switch over to my 1/4-inch foot. That would be a good idea. Oh, come on. Really? Sometimes these vintage machines, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Okay. So, now if you wanted these to nest, you would push one of your seams down and the other would go up, and then you would match that point right there, because that's really important at that point match. Okay. Oops. There we go. Line it all up. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's get the next two. Right, push one up. The bottom one goes up, the top one goes down. That's a sec. Line it all up. There we go, I'm gonna put it in. There. There we go. This one goes up, the bottom goes up, and the top one points towards me. Okay. Last bit. And here. I'm going to line it up on top. Yeah, the idea of pressing them in different directions is just to make sure that they all nest, right? Because you can feel that nesting right there, because the bottom one is shooting this way and the top one's going this way. So you can get, it feels like it's solid, there's no gap. There. Okay, now I'll just run another triangle and put it all back for you so you can see what I'm doing. Because I think sometimes people get, what are you doing? There's so many pieces here. Oh my gosh. But it's darling when it's done. It'll be just cute. Now, I can press this open if I want, which I think I will, because it'll lie nice and flat. There. Yeah, just finger press it open. Poof. There you go. Nice crisp line. And again, yeah, this weight is a really lovely linen. And I mix linens and cottons when I quilt. If I have a piece of linen, I'll just use it as linen. You know, it's a natural fiber, right? So if I have pieces of silk, however, I won't Even though silk is a natural fiber, it's really, really slippery. I will, however, mix cotton and silk in a kawandi because it's easier to manage. Okay, so now we're going to basically sew this in rows. So we're going to take the first part of the row and just go all the way down to one side. There we go. And line that up. Wow, that lines up really nice. And this. And after I made those, the piece of white I was working with, I couldn't even make this into a solid piece of white. It was just so tiny. But mind you, you can use, you know, scrappy whites or whatever. I mean, just because I only picked 3 fabrics because I had the scraps here a little bit bigger, but that's okay. There. I want to make sure that this seam stays open because the block will lie flatter. Okay. So, here we go. Okay, and we'll just run that through. Oh, here we go. Now, we'll start on the other side of this, right? This is like webbing. You're basically webbing down that center, you know. And it works very quickly. This is also a good border block to do. You know, if you're wanting a piece border, you know, if you had a bunch of this and you wanted just to do a, you know, a really cute piece border for a little girl, this would be lovely. It's all bows and ribbons. You put a little sashing in between, you know, so you don't have to worry about all the points. But you would make like half the block, right? Like you would, you know, half of the block. Yeah, that would work. It would work out really nice. Okay. There we go. Now, if you're unsure that you've done this right at this point, this is where you take it off your sewing machine. Like once you get the last seam out, this is where you would take it off your sewing machine and go, okay, what does this look like? Does this make sense? Did I sew all the pieces together correctly? And you just open it up like that, right? And there you go. So yes, it does look like a fancy little bow, right? But you've got to sew all the rows this way now, right? So let's start here. Just flip this over, just like so, and line up that outside edge. This is a 12.5-inch unfinished block, 12-inch finished. It always looks really nice. You know, nice crisp lines. And we're just going to cut these. Now, I have pressed this going in. Like this block, this one goes in, so these should go out. These ones should go out. Just like that. And line it up. There we go. this. Ooh, wait a minute. Is that wrong? No, that's right. Okay. Yep. I had to look twice. Oh no. Oh, good grief. There we go. Push that way. There we go. Yeah. There. There we go. Nice tight now. Yeah, it's the trick to this block is that nice tight nesting, and you know, you get really lovely results then. Let's take that off. Okay, so there we are. Okay. And there we go. There's lots of points to match in this block, so you know, like I say, take your time. Okay, we're back. Wow, this video is having its issues, isn't it? So what I did is I sewed this like this. This is obviously wrong, but I didn't see it. You have to sew them like that. So what I've done is I've taken it apart, and now I'm just going to sew them all back together again. Now I'm going to make sure I do this side first. I know. Hey, everybody does it. There's a couple of ways you can use your seam ripper, and you should never sew anything smaller than the tip of your seam, with a smaller stitch than the tip of your seam ripper, because wow, is it tiny? It's so tiny when you do. Okay, let's get this one going the right way. Sometimes you can also pull your bobbin thread, you know, if you're lucky enough to be able to grab hold of your bobbin thread, and you'll be able to release stitches, quite a few stitches at once. I, however, decided I was going to do a really short stitch length, so releasing my bobbin thread and stuff like that doesn't work. And sometimes too, you can use the ball of your seam ripper just to guide you through the seam, but that doesn't work well on linen, right? Because linen is a little bit looser weave, so that's something I should do a video on how to do stitch ripping. That's what I should do. Make, you know, this one where, you know, everybody makes mistakes, and I think sometimes we don't use our seam ripper often enough. I'm just going to take this off to make sure it's sewn right, because okay, yes, that actually looks like a fancy bow now, right? So that looks good. Okay, let's get the other one now. And yeah, yes, sometimes it's just a little looser weave, and you can't do it that way. right? So your fabric, to use that ball trick where you put the ball, you run basically, you open up your seam. I'm just going to show you real quick. Like, you open up your seam like that, and you run your ball topside. The ball of your stitch ripper runs this way, and you can open up your seam really well. But if you got looser stuff, like this linen is lovely, but it's woven loosely, or looser than cotton, so that doesn't work well. It will shred your linen. Okay, now let's get this all nested correctly. And there. Okay. There we go. There. Yeah. We're going to check this one too to make sure it looks like a bow. Now, this is where you can go end to end with them with a little piece of white sashing or something in between them. And that would be, you know, a lovely little 6.5-inch border. I mean, that's up to you if you, wanted to have a little fun with a border. Now, I'm going to take this and sew this together like so. So I make a 12.5-inch block with 2 cute little bows. Just for something a little different. Just for something different today. There we go. There. Okay, I'm racing to do my last seam. Okay. Okay, so this goes. Yeah. Nice. Now, I'll show you this block from the back. There. See, now you can, this will lie flat here because it's been pressed open. And you could most certainly press the rest of this open if you want, right? Sometimes nesting works better than pressing open. And that's, it's up to you. And depending on your fabric, like you'll find sometimes too, like pressing to the side will work better if one fabric is much heavier than the other. So let's get to our big ta-da moment. And we'll see what we've got. Okay, here's the big reveal of our fancy bow block. Now, this block, yes, sometimes you sew it wrong. You just got to take it apart and put it back together again. I mean, when I was pressing this block to show you, I did try my best to press all dark to, press to the dark on the back just to hide all this, all the so you wouldn't have show through. But, I mean, some seams you're going to have, you're just going to have that happen. And, you do the best you can, right? Or you get a heavier background fabric or whatever. Now, I did not have big enough pieces to cut anything much bigger than this out of the fabric, the scrap fabric that I was using. So I've given you the cutting instructions for this piece bit here. Now, when you're putting it into a quilt, you could put one bow block this way and the next one this way and back and forth just like this. Or you could take half of it and just do a piece border with it, right? Because that would give you a nice 6.5-inch unfinished border to add onto a quilt. So I think this is kind of a cute little block, and I do hope you give it a try. Yes, it's fiddly, but it's worth it. So anyways, I hope you have an absolutely amazing week ahead and everything goes right for you in your sewing room. Okay, so you take care until then. All right, bye. My husband and I would love to thank you for watching our videos and being part of our Facebook group and coming to our Zoom meetings. It's been so much fun on this little adventure that we've been on YouTube. I just want to we are doing Zoom sew dates still coming up and those dates are going to be listed in the show notes of this video. For the next year, we're making that commitment to you, and we're having a lot of fun with those Zoom sew dates. So please, feel free to come in. Even if you're not a quilter and you just want to come and do some crocheting or knitting or whatever, yeah, come on down. We're good. The other thing is I still am doing speaking engagements for the quilt gals just to help them out to get back on their feet. I am doing only Zoom meetings. And I have a PowerPoint presentation that talks about all the free patterns that we have put out and will be putting out to the world. So they're more than welcome to take any of my patterns and use them for their charity quilts, right? So that's kind of important that they know that we're there. So if you are part of a guild, let your programs person know that we're speaking for free over Zoom only. We're not doing any traveling or anything like that. The other thing that I want to let you know is that we do in our Facebook group, everybody's sharing pictures and having fun and asking questions, and it's a hoot. And we do still have the room feature in Facebook that we can go sew within. My admin person, Kathy, was able to set that up. It's no longer called Brenda's room, it's called Kathy's room, but we got a room. We do have a room working, so we're all happy with that. So if you get the opportunity to come join us on Facebook, that's great. We'd love to have you. So until we meet again, I hope you have you and your family have an absolutely amazing weeks ahead, okay? You take care. All right, bye.